to talk about for a little bit is who has the reins, okay?
Amen.
I borrowed these from Philip. I borrowed these from Philip. These are pretty, Philip's got everything.
Yes, he does.
I don't think there's anything he does not have. I said, you have this? Yes. You have this? Yeah. And so you put the bridle on the horse's mouth and you hold on the reins, right? And so I was looking in the Bible, and it's interesting because I didn't realize it talks so much about horses, but there are quite a few horses in the Bible. But the main scripture, one of the main scriptures for today is James chapter 3, verse 3. And if you read this passage of James, James is actually talking about the tongue, okay? And in this passage, he's talking about the tongue, he's talking about control, okay? And so one of the illustrations he used is a horse. And so James chapter 3, verse 3 says, when we put bits into the mouth of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal, right?
Right.
And I don't know if y'all know, but a horse is a pretty good sized animal. It has a lot of muscle, has a lot of strength, and we're talking about we're going to put this in his mouth and we're going to be able to guide and maneuver this animal, okay? Yeah. And so who has the reins of your life, okay? And so what I'd like to look at, a couple of different examples. We're going to take you through life because, of course, today we're talking about graduates, so we're talking about a little bit of a journey, okay? So we're going to go on a little bit of a journey, and I'm going to take off my coat real quick because I can't do this with my coat on. Becky said, slow down. I get hyped, I'm sorry. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is when you're a little kid, okay? When you're a little bitty kid and you're going along your life, right? You have a thing called a rocking horse. Y'all see this rocking horse up here? I'll lift it up for a second. It's kind of heavy. That's solid. And so you have a little rocking horse, right? And this is what you start out with, okay? So we sit down on this horse, and I'm going to see if I can do this, okay? Here we go. Woo! It's kind of fun, actually. You know, if you rock it back, it goes back. If you rock it forward, it goes forward. If you go sideways, you're going to fall off. And so, you kind of got things going. You got some movement. You got some rhythm. But the interesting thing about this is you are in control. Okay, when you sit on this horse, you are in control. If you go forward, it goes forward. If you go backwards, it goes backwards, right? You've got full control. It doesn't really cost you anything because for the most part, you're not going to fall off. I mean, this thing's pretty stable, you know? I mean, it's pretty stable. It's not going a whole lot of places. And so, it's not going to cost you a whole lot. But you know the interesting thing also, you're not going anywhere. You're going nowhere. I mean, you're just sitting there in the same spot. And so it's kind of interesting. And so when we kind of relate that to life, it's kind of like, when we get started in this when we get started in our Christian life, it's kind of the same way. We get to the fact to where we get comfortable with what we're doing, right? We've got full control over everything. We've got kind of control over our life and what's going on. If we move a little bit, we know where we're going. It's got kind of movement. It doesn't cost us a whole lot, right? Because we're not really invested into it. But sadly, we're not really going anywhere. Right? It's almost kind of like nursery school, you know? It's kind of like we're doing the same thing over and over again. And so the reins. But now the interesting thing is when we actually get the reins. Okay? Because I think after we graduate from the rocking horse, of course, then we can go to the actual reins, right? And so when we have the reins, when we first get the reins in our life, we have to realize that there's going to be someone else who's going to have the reins, okay? Because we're not fully responsible enough for these reins as of yet. And if we're not careful, we can do some pretty damaging things. And the thing that got me thinking about this is about someone else has the reins, is have y'all ever seen those pony rides? The pony, the pony carnival. Hey, show that clip real quick.
I don't like these. Oh, I don't like these. Like I can do this myself. Yeah. Are you having fun? Nobody knows any answer with the kids.
How many of you remember that? Right? Wasn't that cool? It was kind of like some freedom. You were, with a live animal. It was exciting. And so we got to kind of get started that way. But someone else had the reins, right? And so we didn't really have any control. It was going where it was going. You know, it was doing what it was going to be doing. And so we had no control over it. And it cost us a little something, though. It's going to start costing us now. Because when we get on a live animal, things can happen. You know, whenever you deal with anything that's living, things can happen. And so, you know, some things could, maybe you get kind of bugged, or maybe you get, you know, they turn sideways, or maybe they decide to sit down in the middle, or whatever happens. And so you're not sure exactly what's going to happen. It's a little bit unsteady then. And so it begins to cost you a little bit of something. And also, as a parent, it's going to cost you a little money to get them on the horse because of the fact that you had to pay the carnival person, right? Or the fair, or wherever you're at. And so it begins to cost you something. But the interesting thing here is, if you didn't notice the video, where were they going?
In the circle.
In circles, right? But here's the interesting thing. So they were making more progress than they were on the rocking horse, right? So they were making more progress on the rocking horse, but they were still going
nowhere.
Not a whole lot of places, right? So we're going in circles. I think sometimes that's the way we are as Christians too, if we're not careful. Because we get saved, we're kind of past that initial stage where it's kind of like, woo, you know. And we're kind of going, you know, we're kind of making sure we go to Sunday school, we're making sure we do these things. But we get in kind of a pattern, right? Okay, ding, 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 ding. I did my church on Sunday. Ding, 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 ding. Did my church on Wednesday. Ding, 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 ding. You know, and we get kind of a pattern of things going here, where it's like, as long as we're doing this, we're okay. I know what I'm doing. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to be frustrated about anything, right? And it's just the fact that, but I'm still going in a circle. I'm not really going a whole lot of places. And part of that is because sometimes I give away the control, right? I give away the control. But sadly, it's not so much giving the control to somebody, but just to the pattern of life and the way things happen. How many of you even get caught up inside the pattern of way that things happen even in normal life? Not just Christian life, just normal life, right? You do your thing. You wake up, you eat your breakfast, you go to do this. And sometimes I'll notice, like if I'm driving down the highway, now this is crazy. I'm driving down the highway, getting ready to turn off where I would normally turn, but I'm not going that way. I'm supposed to be going straight. And you just kind of get in that pattern, right? You just kind of automatically do your thing. You're like, oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. You know, turn around and go back. And so I get in the normal pattern of doing things. So it's kind of like the same thing with this. When we get into this kind of a pony ride mentality, when someone else has the reins, we get to going in circles. Okay? And then this is the place where we're about to come to now, where these graduates are coming to right now. Okay? Is that we are going to, they're going to have to realize that now that they begin to have the reins. Right?
Right.
They've been given the reins. It's unattached from the merry-go-round. It goes round and round. They have the reins, okay? And they have partial control because, like you know, once again, horses can do what they want. I remember my first horse that I rode, for some reason, went in reverse the whole time. I could not make that thing go straight. I tried to turn it. It did turn, but it went backwards. And so, you know, horses have their own mind. So we don't have full control, but we've got quite a bit of control in our hands because we've got this thing. We can make them do what we want to, you know. We can kind of kick them in the side and get a little bit faster or whatever. And so we have that control, but it also costs us, right? Because we're putting our life, you know, we're putting our life kind of out there. We're kind of taking a little bit of a risk. We're moving away from the thing that we knew was safe. And we're kind of moving away from, you know, nobody's going to hold on to us anymore. Nobody's going to just kind of be there to catch us, you know, stand right beside us on the horse if we fall. And so we may have times when we do that. But guess what? We now have the ability to go where we want to go. Right?
That's right.
We have the ability to go where we want to go, right? I thought it was kind of interesting because on our fall retreat that we take with the young people, we have been going horseback riding for the past couple of times. But they realized really quickly that they had the reins. In fact, some of them got really nervous when they first got on the horse. It was interesting because they get on the horse and be like, I'm not quite sure about this, you know, help, you know. And even though they had explained it ahead of time, they're still asking millions of questions. And so, but they realized that they had the reins to be able to do what they wanted to do, go where they wanted to go. It was exciting, it was fun, and they asked to do it again and again. And you know what amazes me? And I know this is kind of, you know, whatever. Y'all have racehorses here. You don't have riding horses. Because I was like, Kentucky, horse place, everybody's ridden. Yeah. We had a couple who had ridden. I love how Brian Gandy was riding off into the distance there. And so, but anyway, so we have the reins now. We have partial control. It's going to cost us a little bit more, and we're going where we want to. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 through 3. So I think we have that scripture up there. And we're taking this from the NIV version. But it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Wow. Fixing our eyes on Jesus. Amen. Yes. I like that part. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. And so, when we have the reins, we have a lot of control. But there's a decision that comes there. Do we keep the reins, or do we surrender the reins? Wow. And so the next point I'd like to talk about is the fact that God has the reins. God has the reins. Right. Lord, I don't want control anymore. I want to give you control. You know, I want to see exactly where you want to lead me, where you want me to go. And when I begin to, like that pastor, like Hebrews said, fix my eyes on Him. When I begin to make Him the center of all that I am, then He begins to lead and guide my step. And I love the way that it talks about the run the race. Did y'all notice I said the race that is marked out before us? God's got a plan for you. And we sang songs just a second ago that said what? He's good. He's merciful. He's loving. Now, a person who has all that kind of compassion and love in their heart, why would He not have good things for us in store? There's scriptures in the Bible that talk about that He has plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future when you call on Him and pray for Him. And so we understand that God has all this available for us. Why would we not want to give up that right? Okay? And say, God, I don't want the control anymore. I want you to take control of my life. I want to... And here's the thing. When you give up that control, it's going to cost you.
Yes. That's right.
It's going to kind of cost you everything. But the reward. Because where God wants us to go is a place that we could not even dream. We could not even imagine, right? We couldn't even begin to think of in our little finite minds the things that God has in store for us. And so we have to understand that if God has amazing things for us, but we have to first relinquish this, then it's kind of neat, because then oh, it keeps making noises. It does stop, doesn't it? Okay, there it is. So anyway, so then we can get on our horse, right? And with God as our focus, with God leading and guiding us, we can then go on the path that He's called us to do and do the thing He's called us to do. Isn't that neat? Yeah. So no longer do we have to be restricted like we were on the pony to one little thing. We don't have to worry about being led around in a circle. But at the same time, we don't have to worry. We also don't have to worry about ourselves getting in the way of things. Because if we're not careful, we allow ourselves to get in the way of things all the time. I do it myself if I'm not careful. But when we begin to relinquish that control to God, He can take over. And the thing that I love is the fact that communication with God can then begin to happen in places where you wouldn't normally think it would.
Oh, yeah.
Does it always have to happen at the altar? No. No. Especially not if I give God control. Because then guess what? He goes everywhere with me. You know, can I only pray for somebody at church? No. You pray for somebody in the shopping place, store. That didn't come out right. I was going to say the shopping mall, but it is a shopping mall. No, yeah, shopping mall. The mall. Wow, that didn't come out right. So you can pray for somebody at the mall. You can, you can go and witness to somebody at the park. Too many times we think that this is where it's at. But the thing we have to understand is this is just merely a fueling station.
Yes.
This is just simply a place where you get what you need to go out and give what you have.
Amen.
Right? And so the thing is we've got to learn to stop just doing what's easy and what we know to be true and kind of like the safety thing. And we need to learn to give it over to God. Because He can do some great things with us. It's amazing the things that He'll begin to show you. You can start out your day with God. Every day, this is a constant decision that you have to make. God, in the morning when I wake up, God, I give you control.
Amen.
I don't want to hold on to the reins. I don't want to make my things happen, because when my things happen, they stink. They mess up way too many times. But when God's in control, it always works out. Maybe not sometimes the way we think it should, but it always works out when God's in control.
Right.
So, we have to give up the control. We have to learn to lay down our lives to Him. And God will do some pretty amazing things with us.
Amen.
I like some of the ways that it talked about a few of the scriptures that I just kind of want to share with you. 1 Corinthians 9:24 and 25. It says, "Did you know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize?"
Yep.
So run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the game goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever.
Amen.
And so the accomplishments that we're trying to do here is things that are just, it's forever, right? It's eternal. It's glory. It's wow. And so why would we not press forward, always doing exactly what God calls us to do, right? Let Him be at the reins. But here's the other thing I like. I think of how wonderful horses are and how well they're taken care of. But did you know in Psalms chapter 147, verse 10 through 11, it says, "His pleasure is not in the strength of the horse, nor His delight in the legs of the warrior. The Lord delights in those who fear Him and who put their hope in His unfailing love."
Amen.
Isn't that neat? And I was thinking about how we were talking about the race horses, right? And we're hoping that our horse wins, right? But if we place our hope in horses, sometimes they mess up. I know. We were talking yesterday about how cool it would have been had the horse with a one eye, patch, one, and that would have been pretty neat, And everybody was kind of hoping he would win. He didn't, of course, but when we place our hope in God, we'll always come to what we need. Another scripture that kind of points towards what we're talking about here is Philippians 4:13. It says, "I can do all this through Him who gives me strength." And then finally, the last scripture that points to the fact of us taking off and going places that we've never gone before is Jeremiah 29:11-13. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." So it's not something that comes by easily, but it's about something that we have to give ourselves fully into. Not kind of like I was talking about giving over the reins, not kind of giving over part of the reins, but just giving over all the reins to God, because He has the best in mind.